Ona jest teraz w twoich rękach. I Syna, i Ducha Świętego!
If you're tired of the same predictable horror movies and want something darker, more disturbing, and way more savage, you're in for a nightmare. Let's dive into 10 brutal hidden horror gems you've probably never seen but won't forget anytime soon. Number 10. Dark Water. Dahlia Williams, a mother fleeing a bitter divorce and custody battle, seeks stability, only to find her crumbling apartment leaking more than just water. As dark, relentless drips seep through the ceilings, her daughter Cece befriends an unseen presence named Natasha, and the building's silence begins to breathe with memory and longing. Each puddle grows heavier, each shadow deepens, as Dahlia chases the source of the water, and the source of grief buried in the tower's foundations. The ache of loss echoes in every damp corridor, blending motherly fear with the restless sorrow of a ghost. Dark Water is a sorrow-soaked supernatural mystery that turns drips into dread and a mother's desperation into a quiet storm. Number 9. Good Boy.
Icke som ett menneske. Okej.
Jag är en fyr som har gått igenom mye.
Sigrid, a restless student swiping through modern dating, meets Christian, charming, wealthy, and seemingly perfect, only to discover he shares his space with Frank, a man who behaves as if he were his pet dog. Curiosity overrides discomfort as Sigrid stays, navigating the unsettling dissonance between affection and control. The mansion's sleek calm belies a peculiar tangle of emotional power play, where normal boundaries fracture into strange obedience. As strange dinners spiral and casual touches shift into quiet coercion, every gesture hints at manipulation beneath the veneer of care. Good Boy is a psychological horror draped in absurdity, twisting the domestic into something unnerving, where love can feel like a leash and devotion hides a quiet dread. Number 8. I Still See You.
You're awake.
Veronica Calder, a teenager trying to reclaim normalcy in a world forever altered, fragments of the dead known as remnants haunt the living in frozen loops of their final moments. After an apocalyptic lab explosion, the world teems with ghostly echoes, and Ronnie's every step through empty halls and suburban streets chills with unseen watchers. When a mysterious remnant scrawls "run" in fogged mirrors, the familiar becomes uncanny, and her instincts thrust her into a supernatural puzzle where the dead might be trying to warn or hunt her. Each glance holds spectral significance, and each heartbeat feels borrowed. The film is a haunting, supernatural horror thriller that turns memory into menace, where every passing ghost becomes part of a larger, dangerous rhythm. Number 7. The Possession.
His wings. And I mean, I'm sorry, Daddy, I'm sorry.
Clyde Brennick, a father recently separated from his wife, hopes for comfort in a weekend with his children, only to bring home an antique box that unlocks more than just secrets. His daughter, Em, becomes entranced by the box's carved surface, and soon soft exhalations echo through the rooms as an ancient Dybbuk claws into her innocence. As the household's warmth warps into shadows, Clyde and Stephanie chase supernatural explanations through Jewish lore and desperate rites, their grief woven into the hunt for what's possessing decades of sorrow. Each tremor in the glass, each whispered Hebrew echo, pushes the family closer to breakdown. Number 6. Hide and Seek.
Emily, why would you do this?
It was Charlie. 7 went down, 8 went down, 9 went down.
David Calloway, a psychologist shattered by his wife's suicide, relocates with his daughter Emily to a serene upstate town, seeking peace and a fresh start in the stillness of rural solitude. But Emily clings to Charlie, an imaginary friend whose presence reshapes their grief into something far more sinister. As childlike whispers spiral into fearful shadows, their new home fractures, each creak and hollow corridor echoing suspicion and dread. Beneath the facade of fresh beginnings, reality warps, and every attempt at healing becomes a hunt for truth hidden in fractured minds. The film is a psychological horror thriller that twists trust into terror, where the comforts meant to mend may instead unravel the fragile bond between father and daughter. Number 5. Afterlife. Anna Taylor, a grief-stricken schoolteacher, crashes her car and awakens not in panic but in a sterile embalming room, lying before Elliot Deacon, a funeral director who insists she's already dead. As he prepares her for burial, each gentle word of his slips the veil between life and death, and her heartbeat becomes both weapon and mirror. Desperation fractures reality as Anna battles the uncanny lull of Elliot's assurance, every reflection and corridor tainted with the dread of transition. Trust and fear meld into suffocating confusion. Was she ever alive? Or is this the silence of the grave? Number 4, The Rite.
She's choking.
I'm still not convinced.
Michael Kovac, a seminary student disillusioned with both ecclesiastic tradition and his own shadows, travels to Rome seeking an easy exit, only to find himself drawn into the solemn, unsettling realm of exorcism. Sent to train under the unorthodox yet steady Father Lucas, he enters dim chapels where faith trembles and demons whisper through flickering candles. Skepticism warps into something ancient when the possessed do more than tremble. They challenge the boundaries between soul and shadow. Each blessing hangs heavy, every rite edged with doubt and the weight of unseen evil. The Rite is a sober, atmospheric communion of terror and faith, where the fight for belief becomes a battle against darkness that feels undeniable. Number 3, Witching and Bitching.
Una chica de tu edad, lo que tiene que hacer es drogarse.
Folla como una perra, miente todo lo que pueda.
A band of klutzy bank robbers, a father, son, and accomplices, flee their failed heist through rural Spain, only to crash headlong into a village shrouded in dark ritual and ancient horror. Desperate for escape, they stumble into the lair of cannibalistic witches whose sweet hospitality masks festering bloodlust. Every rusted gate and candlelit corridor drips with warped folklore and grotesque laughter, pulling the criminals deeper into a carnival of vengeance. As bodies pile and rites begin, the boundary between hunter and hunted frays beneath twisted coven power. The film is a viciously subversive horror comedy that twists tradition and terror into a gleefully grotesque ritual. Number 2, The Woman in Black.
Those most in need.
Arthur Kipps, a recently widowed solicitor, travels to a remote moorland village under the guise of legal duty, only to discover that grief has taken on a form far colder than death. Summoned to settle a late client's affairs, he enters Eelmarsh House, where silence is stained by the echo of children's cries, and a pale figure in black haunts every reflection. Each step through shadowed corridors deepens his dread, as the villager's silence echoes louder than any ghostly whisper. The wind across the marsh carries sorrow and vengeance both, and every fleeting glimpse of the woman in black brings him closer to her silent terror. Number 1, What Lies Beneath. Claire Spencer, a composer grappling with grief in her seemingly ideal marriage, returns to her lakeside Vermont home, only to find that sorrow takes shape in shadows. As soft whispers and spectral reflections unsettle the walls, she becomes certain something restless lingers beneath the surface of their perfect facade. Her husband Norman dismisses her fears, but each tremor in the floorboards and each flicker in the mirror pulls her closer to a truth both tragic and terrifying. The house breathes with unresolved longing, and every ghostly echo feels like part confession, part accusation. Directed by Robert Zemeckis, What Lies Beneath is a haunted horror thriller that stitches domestic calm into a veil of supernatural dread, where love's deepest betrayals rise from the water itself. Here are 4 other movies you have to see. The Shrine. A journalist and her friends travel to a remote village searching for a missing teen, only to find a cult hiding beneath a facade of hospitality. The villagers lead them deeper into rituals stained with dread and violence. Their investigation morphs into a fight for survival against forces that won't let them leave. The Messengers. When the Solomon family moves to a rural sunflower farm, they hope to rebuild. But ghostly apparitions invade their fields at dusk. The silent stalks become conduits for malevolent forces that pry at family bonds. Their once peaceful sanctuary begins to consume them from within. The Piper.
Rats are guilt. Insects dread.
Has anyone seen Cassandra?
Liz Haynes and her daughter relocate to the legendary town of Hamlin, only to find children vanishing in echoes of the Pied Piper myth. As strange occurrences and rat infestations escalate, Liz's past becomes entwined with an ancient entity seeking vengeance. What starts as a fresh start devolves into folklore's darkest nightmare, Alive. A zombie apocalypse erupts, trapping a video game streamer inside his sole apartment as the city outside collapses. Isolated and running out of supplies, he navigates terror both digital and real. The walls that once framed his online world become the same that threaten his life.